the Whispering Forest. In a quiet village nestled at the edge of an ancient forest, lived a curious girl named Alara. The villagers spoke often of the Whispering Forest, a place where trees were said to murmur secrets and the wind and shadows moved without light. Most dared not enter. But Alara was different. Ever since she was a child, she felt a pull toward the forest. She'd often sneak to the edge and sit under the white oak tree, listening to the rustling leaves. They seemed to call her by name. Alara, they'd sigh softly, like a lullaby only she could hear. On the eve of her 16th birthday, Alara made a decision. She would venture into the forest, alone, under the full moon. That night, armed with only a lantern and her grandmother's silver necklace, a family heirloom said to be enchanted, she stepped across the border of trees and into legend. The forest greeted her not with fear, but wonder. Fireflies danced like stars around her head. Strange flowers bloomed in moonlight. The air was cool, thick with ancient magic. As she walked deeper, she began to hear voices, not frightening, but familiar, like echoes of dreams she'd forgotten. Alara, one whispered. "Welcome home." Suddenly, a soft growl broke the silence. From the shadows emerged a creature like nothing she had seen, a wolf with fur made of mist and eyes glowing silver. It approached her, not with menace, but purpose. "You are the last of the blood of Aluin," it said in a voice like thunder and wind. Alara froze. "What does that mean?" The wolf bowed. "Long ago, your ancestor protected this forest. She bound her soul to it, keeping balance between the natural and the magical. But that bond is fading. Only her bloodline can restore it." The necklace around Alara's neck began to glow. She felt it then, a warmth in her chest, a presence. Her grandmother's stories, her mother's lullabies, they were more than memories. They were instructions, passed down through time. She raised the necklace, and light spilled out like water. Trees straightened. Flowers opened. The whispers became a harmonious hum. The forest was waking, and recognizing her. From that night onward, Alara became the guardian of the Whispering Forest. She learned the language of the trees, healed wounded animals, and kept the balance her ancestors had vowed to protect. The village, once afraid, grew to honor her. And when the wind blew through the forest, it no longer whispered warnings, but songs of a girl who listened and answered. A Promise Under the Stars. It all began on a quiet autumn evening in a small town tucked between golden fields and whispering forests. Claire was sitting on the worn bench outside the bookstore where she worked, the scent of old paper and fresh coffee lingering in the air. Her life had always been filled with stories, between the pages of novels, in the margins of poetry, and occasionally in the daydreams she kept to herself. What she didn't expect was to live one of those stories herself. Ethan walked into her life like a gentle storm. He was a photographer passing through town, capturing the colors of fall. His eyes held a kind of sadness, as though he had seen too much of the world and carried it silently within him. But when he looked at Claire, something shifted, like he was remembering what it felt like to belong. Their first conversation was accidental. He asked for directions, she offered him a coffee instead. They sat outside the bookstore, talking about favorite books and faraway places. One cup turned into two, and one conversation became hundreds. They began to meet every day, exploring forgotten trails and abandoned barns, laughing under trees that blazed like fire. As days turned into weeks, love grew in the quiet moments, the way Ethan brushed her hair back when the wind blew too strong, the way Claire left notes tucked in his camera bag, each one a secret waiting to be found. They never said "I love you" right away, they didn't have to. It was in the way they held each other's gaze, how they listened like every word mattered. But Ethan's journey couldn't last forever. He had a plane ticket, a contract in another country, and a career he'd worked his whole life for. The night before he was meant to leave, they lay on a blanket beneath the stars, not speaking, not needing to. Finally, Claire whispered, "Promise me something." "Anything," he replied. Promise me this wasn't just a chapter." He took her hand, placed it over his heart, and said, "This is the beginning of the book." Ethan left the next morning. For months, they wrote letters. Long, handwritten confessions filled with longing, jokes, dreams, and late-night thoughts. And then, one winter evening, just as snow began to fall, Claire opened the door to the bookstore and found Ethan standing there with a suitcase in one hand and a ring in the other. "I missed the whole world," he said, "but I couldn't miss the rest of our story." And right there, between the books that first brought them together, Claire said yes. A love that waited. In a quiet town nestled between green hills and a silver lake, lived a young woman named Alara. She was known for her gentle smile and the way she always carried a book in her hand. Alara worked at a small library, where time seemed to pause between the turning of pages and the soft rustle of the wind through old windows. One rainy afternoon, a stranger walked into the library. His name was Nathan, a photographer who had just returned to the town he once left behind. He was tall, with thoughtful eyes and a camera always slung over his shoulder. He asked Alara about a book on forgotten places, and as she guided him to the section, their hands brushed, just slightly, but enough to make both of them pause. From that day, Nathan kept returning, not just for books, but for Alara. They would sit in the far corner of the library, talking for hours about dreams, music, and the way the sky turned orange during sunsets. Alara found herself laughing more, living more. Nathan captured her in photographs, not posed, but in moments of wonder, watching rain, reading under a tree, smiling at nothing in particular. But as with many beautiful things, their time together was not meant to last forever. Nathan was offered an opportunity to travel the world and document endangered cultures, a dream he had chased for years. He asked Alara to come with him, but her life, her family, and the library were all rooted in the town. With tears in her eyes and love in her heart, she told him to go, and promised she'd wait. Years passed. Seasons changed. Letters came, sometimes photographs. Nathan wrote about deserts and mountains, lost villages, and starry nights. Alara kept every letter, placing them in a wooden box by her bed. Her love never faded, it matured, grew quieter but deeper. Then, one summer evening, just as the sun dipped below the lake, casting golden light across the water, Nathan returned. He walked into the library, older now, with a few more lines on his face and stories in his eyes. Alara was standing at the counter, still with a book in her hand. They didn't need words. In that silent, breathtaking moment, they knew, love had waited, and love had returned.